Welcome to the show where we hit the ground running with the stories you need to know today. First up, Prue Leith is opening up about her culinary blunders and life beyond the kitchen. She is dishing on everything from her disastrous hot cross bun, attempts to a wild plan for a Vineyard Shea news, and her recent review of the legendary Simpsons in the Strand. You will not believe the dangerous stunts she witnessed at Gifford's Circus, so stick around as she shares her latest adventures.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 mAh power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Things are taking a tough turn in San Diego as the city faces a massive budget crisis. Mayor Todd Gloria is rolling out a budget plan that hits hard to cover a $146 million deficit. We are talking about potential layoffs and deep cuts to city services, including libraries and local arts programs that many residents rely on every single day. The battle over money is heating up in Colorado as Governor Jared Polis pushes a new budget proposal that has everyone talking. The plan aims to keep over $300 million by canceling state TABOR refunds. While the administration points to federal budget changes as the reason for the move, legislative staff are raising serious concerns about the legality and impact of this decision on taxpayers. Finally, we are heading to the sports arena, where the Mariners are looking to bounce back in San Diego, while the Kraken take on the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. Plus, we are tracking the Sounders as they chase a comeback in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and diving into the latest news on UW star Hans Steinbach declaring for the NBA draft. There's so much more to cover, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a beat. Ever wonder if the experts have it all figured out behind the scenes? Well, here's a confession that might surprise you. I am not a great baker. In fact, despite being a judge on Bake Off, my own kitchen skills are a far cry from Paul Hollywood's standards. Just this past Good Friday, I attempted to make hot cross buns, and let's just say it was a disaster. I found myself critiquing my own work with the same harshness I'd use on a contestant. Stale spices, expired yeast, the works. We ended up at the co-op buying store-bought buns, which was honestly a bit of a shaming moment. But isn't that the beauty of cooking? Even at my age, I'm still learning what works and what absolutely doesn't. Speaking of learning, my husband John has caught the winemaking bug. After visiting a local vineyard for our show, he's dead set on planting vines on our north-facing property. I thought the experts we brought in would shut the idea down immediately, but apparently modern grape varieties can survive just about anything. As they described the process, the planting, the pruning, the constant labor, I could practically hear my bank account weeping. But there was a silver lining. They emphasized that if you aren't out there in the mud every single day, you aren't doing it right. I'm hoping that Reality Check keeps the project small and manageable. There's a fine line between a hobby and a headache, and I intend to stay on the right side of it. On a brighter note, we caught the opening of Gifford's Circus, and it is truly breathtaking. It's got that classic, quirky English charm, clowns quoting Shakespeare, but it's evolved into something global and genuinely edge-of-your-seat terrifying. Watching acrobats dangle from nothing but an ankle high above the big top is enough to make anyone hold their breath. It's a reminder that sometimes the best art requires a little bit of danger. Finally, we treated ourselves to lunch at the newly reopened Simpsons in the Strand with Delia Smith and her husband. Walking in felt like stepping back into 1900 with those classic waiters and that timeless Edwardian atmosphere. But the best part? It's completely unpretentious. No forced dress codes, just great food like ox cheek pudding and traditional roasts carved right at your table. It's a million times better than I remember, and it's a relief to know that some traditions are worth keeping alive. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that life is about balance, between the baking disasters, the wild business ideas, and the quiet joy of a perfect lunch. My new book, Being Old and Learning to Love It, is out now, and I'd love for you to join me on this journey. After all, if I can survive my own baking disasters, you can handle anything life throws your way. So, what's one thing you've been afraid to try lately? Let me know in the comments. Imagine waking up to the news that your city is facing a massive financial hole, and the solution is hitting the very services that make your community feel like home. That is exactly what is happening in San Diego right now. Mayor Todd Gloria has unveiled a budget proposal aiming to bridge a staggering $146 million deficit. But the price tag is steep. We are talking about layoffs and significant cuts to the library system and various arts programs, the kind of essential infrastructure that fosters culture and education. It is a tough pill to swallow for taxpayers who rely on these resources every single day. The reality is, cities are often forced into these either-or scenarios, but when we start chipping away at the foundations of public learning and creative expression, it forces us to ask what we truly value as a society. Is there a better way to balance the books without compromising the soul of the city? I want to hear your take on this budget crisis, so drop a comment below and let me know if you think these cuts are a necessary evil or a major step backward. If you found this update insightful, hit that like button and subscribe for more coverage on the issues affecting your backyard. At the end of the day, a budget is more than just a spreadsheet. It is a declaration of priorities, and right now, the citizens of San Diego are left wondering exactly where they stand. Have you ever tried to pay back money you thought you owed, only to realize the math was flawed? Well, imagine that scale, but instead of a few dollars, it is $306 million of taxpayer money. Deep inside Colorado's massive $46.8 billion proposed budget for 2026-27, there is a quiet, yet controversial line item. The state wants to keep $306.1 million that was supposed to be returned to you via TABOR refunds. Here is the kicker. The governor's office claims this isn't just a grab for cash. They say the state accidentally overpaid in the previous year because of some complicated federal budget changes that skewed their revenue calculations. Essentially, they are arguing that if they had known the true numbers back then, they never would have triggered those refunds in the first place. But there is a massive legal hurdle here. The staff at the Joint Budget Committee took a hard look at this and sounded the alarm, suggesting that keeping this money might not actually be legal. They argue that under current accounting rules, you can't just retroactively call an overfund when the timing doesn't align with the fiscal year. It is a classic bureaucratic tug-of-war, balancing the state's need to plug a budget hole against the legal requirement to hand back surplus funds to taxpayers. Despite the warnings, the committee decided to proceed with using half of that money to help balance the books for the upcoming year, with the rest deferred to the following budget cycle. But here is the uncertainty that should keep every Coloradan paying attention. Economists are split. Some forecasts say there will be plenty of surplus to go around, while others paint a much grimmer picture, one where there might not be enough to cover both these clawed-back funds and critical obligations like the homestead exemption for seniors and disabled veterans. Is this a necessary fiscal adjustment or an overreach of the state's power? We're watching to see how this plays out as the budget bill moves forward. What do you think about the state holding onto these funds? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. If you want to keep tabs on how your tax dollars are really being handled at the Capitol, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into Colorado politics. Ever feel like the Northwest sports scene is holding its breath? Tonight, we find out if our teams can turn the tide or if it is time to start looking toward the future. Let's dive into the action. First up, the Mariners are heading back out to the mound in San Diego looking to shake off a tough loss. After seeing a 4-game win streak vanish in a 4-1 defeat, the pressure is on Emerson Hancock to set the tone in Game 2. The offense struggled, managing just 4 hits last night, so they need to find their rhythm early if they want to bounce back. Catch that first pitch at 6:40 on K-Pug. Meanwhile, in Vegas, the Kraken are playing for pride in their penultimate game of the season. They are stepping onto the ice against a red-hot Golden Knights squad that is hunting for the division crown. It is a tough matchup, but don't count Seattle out yet. They've actually swept all 3 previous meetings this season. Will they keep that streak alive? Tune in at 7:00 on KGMI. On the women's side of the ice, it has been a heartbreaking week for the Torrent, who officially bowed out of playoff contention after a 4-1 loss to Vancouver. But here is the silver lining. The PWHL Unique Gold Plan gives them a real shot at the first overall draft pick if they finish strong. They wrap up their season at Climate Pledge Arena this Saturday. Turning to the pitch, the Sounders face a mountain of a challenge at Lumen Field tonight. Down 2-0 from their Champions Cup opener against Tigers UNL, they need an aggressive, 3-goal performance to keep their tournament hopes alive. It is do-or-die time at 8:30. Finally, a huge shift for the Huskies. Freshman phenom Hans Steinbach is officially taking his talents to the NBA. Averaging a double-double this season, Steinbach is currently sitting as the 15th ranked prospect in ESPN's projections, and he has all the tools to make an immediate impact at the next level. We will be keeping a close eye on his journey leading up to the draft on June 23. Which one of these teams has the best chance to pull off an upset tonight? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button for your daily Northwest sports fix. And remember, in sports, just like in life, the comeback is always greater than the setback.